Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is DB Talking Now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles. It's been a while since I've been with everybody here. It's been a while since I've recorded a live stream on my channel. I want to say about 2 years, maybe a little bit more than 2 years. I think the last time that I recorded was pre-draft. In the draft where we drafted Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, so on and so forth. Obviously, a lot has happened since then, and I kind of want to talk about that. I want to recap it a little bit. But obviously, that's not what the stream is going to be entirely about, just because we have a lot to get to, and obviously, it's been a while. So it's been a couple of years since we drafted Jalen Carter and we drafted Nolan Smith. King Miro, my man, welcome. Welcome. King Mero says, yep, we champs. I was waiting for that stream. Yeah, I'm back, man. I'm back. DB is back. So, 2023, prior to that season, I think is the last time that I spoke to you guys. Obviously, we started off hot. We started off like 10-1 and so on and so forth. We collapsed the rest of that season, and then the following draft, obviously we drafted Quinyon Mitchell and we drafted Cooper DeJean. We drafted Jalix Hunt in the later rounds, and then a year goes by and we absolutely dominate the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Let me know if you can hear me okay. This is kind of a temporary mic, and I'm not sure if I have everything set up correctly. I'm a little bit rusty with everything, so I do apologize. And I also apologize for being away from you guys for so long. Life hits you and all right, awesome. King Miro says, I can hear you amazing, my man. Awesome. Sounds great, man. That's perfect. That's what I love to hear. Life hits you, man. You run into some things and you got to take some care of some shit. Just as a man, as a human, you meet a girl, things happen. I no longer live in Arizona. I live in Southern California now, so I'm very grateful for that. But hey, one of the things that I really want to get to, obviously, is I'm gonna recap this draft, this recent draft that we had, and just briefly because obviously we're on to week 2 now of the 2025 season, and we gotta talk about that. King says, "I never left you, DB. I appreciate your loyalty. King." I wasn't, and I know I left for a while, but I wasn't going to stay gone. I love the Birds too much. Obviously I was born in Philly, raised the Eagle fan. If my brother and my dad if I ever started rooting for another team, my brother and my dad probably would have disassociated with me, to be completely honest with you. So Eagles green has always bled inside of my body. So, hey, I appreciate your loyalty, man. But let's get back to it. Just briefly recapping the draft that we had in the offseason. Obviously, round 1, we draft Jahad Campbell. I didn't even I'll give you my honest opinion. On the just right off the bat. He was somebody that I was looking at. Prior to the draft, is oh man, I really like that guy out of Alabama. He's fucking awesome. I had no idea that he was still there by the time that it came for us to draft. And I think that kind of echoes a lot of everyone's kind of sentiment towards our ability to get him. Nobody realized that Jahad Campbell was still there. Such an elite player, such a talented player, such a high ceiling, high potential, type of player. Well, he's on the Philadelphia Eagles now. He's on the reigning Super Bowl champions now. And, And, before I get into what I want to get into, which is obviously his performance in week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys, let's stay on the draft. Let's talk about the fact that, we also got a safety in the second round, Andrew Makuba. To me, I think everybody was right when it comes to the pundits about drafting Andrew Makuba. There were higher rated safeties on the board at the time, but Andrew Makuba kind of resembled more so of CJ Gardner-Johnson. And honestly, like, he didn't play bad in week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys. And that's kind of, and that kind of goes to what I kind of want to talk about, which is I'm kind of ashamed because I did want to kick off the season with a stream. I did want to do a stream last Wednesday, prior to the game on Thursday against the Cowboys. Unfortunately, and this happens to everybody, sometimes you got to work a little bit of overtime for work. And I wasn't able to get to it. I work on Wednesdays, I work on Thursdays, and I just couldn't get to it. And so, but I'm here now, and I'm grateful to be here now. I'm grateful to be talking to you guys again, this early in the season. My goal is this. My goal is to do a preview stream and then also a recap stream. And I'm going to do that every fucking week. It's not even just a goal. We're going to fucking do it. I'm going to get back on the train, talking about the thing that I love, one of the things that I love the most, and we're going to do it. And so on, and just moving on from that, Andrew Makuba, Sidney Brown and Andrew Makuba both started at safety against the Cowboys, and I think Andrew Makuba played okay. I think he played okay, to be completely honest. You know who didn't play okay? And this goes into King's next comment. Who didn't play okay was Adoree Jackson, cornerback 2. Unfortunately, we lost Slay obviously in the offseason. Adoree Jackson is the guy that we went ahead and signed to kind of replace him. Now, obviously, we traded for Jacorian Bennett from the Raiders, and I think that he's going to take over his spot at some point throughout the season. Or we're going to make a trade, which we're also going to talk about because there's been a lot of rumors regarding Denzel Ward from the Browns and the Eagles. So we're going to talk about that as well. King says Campbell is a fucking beast. Thank God for Vic Fangio. Yeah, Jahad Campbell made one of the best plays on defense against the Dallas Cowboys, which was taking over coverage for that tight end that was kind of running across the middle of the field, caught up with him, and then had the awareness to kind of knock that ball down. Jahad Campbell was absolutely great. I have such a high amount of respect and have a high regard for Jahad Campbell. I think Jahad Campbell is going to turn it to something special. I think that we have a loaded linebacker room, which is something that I can't say that we've ever had in my lifetime. Obviously, like, I got to see Jeremiah Trotter. I got to see, some of those guys. But like, if you just think about what we actually have, like, we have Jahad Campbell, we have Zach Bond, we have Nakobe Dean coming back in week 5, which, by the way, he just recently tweeted, not a big social media person, but he did just recently tweet that he will see us all in week 5. So it's kind of like a tweet to the fans. So it was kind of awesome. King also says, I just wish we had a better cornerback too, but safety was something big for us after CJGJ left again. Yeah, let me say this. I honestly want to clear the air about the CJGJ thing. So, like, it's like he doesn't fit the personality of the locker room. He really doesn't. He is kind of like a me guy. And I think that's the only thing. I think that we would have been perfectly happy paying him if he wasn't just a me guy. And you can kind of tell just from the I'm going to call them traumatic interviews because they look like PTSD interviews coming from CJGJ. Like, he didn't want to leave the Eagles. it's plain as day. He didn't want to leave the Eagles. He's upset. He's offended. And so, I think for about a couple months, after he was already a Texan, like he was still, talking shit towards the Eagles. And yeah, could we use CJGJ? Sure. Like CJGJ is a talented safety. We kind of turned CJGJ into what he is, though. CJGJ for the Saints was a nickel cornerback. We played him at safety. So like the dude needed to recognize, and the dude needed to just like, STFU and be okay. I'm not like, I don't mean to be kind of like aggressive about my opinion about it, but like, dude, you would have been here if you were more of a team player. And like, he stole some interceptions from Quinyon Mitchell last season. Like, let's be real. Anyway, moving on. King says Jake Ferguson, the tight end for the Cowboys, couldn't do shit against us. Yeah, honestly, like I was really surprised about that. Tight end can usually be, well, at least during the Andy Reid era anyway. Tight end on the defense was, and I guess not Andy Reid, I guess I'll say Jim Johnson. During the Jim Johnson era anyway, like tight end was always a backbreaker. And I want to say, since we had Vic Fangio in here, honestly, over the last 5 years, now that I think about it, like tight end has not been that big of a backbreaker since Nick Sirianni's been here. Like any of the Nick Sirianni haters that still exist. Well, one, they shouldn't. I mean, he's the best coach that we've had since Andy, and they shouldn't hate on him. But like, we've done a great job against tight ends. And Jake Ferguson, tight end of the Dallas Cowboys, phenomenal player. Good fantasy tight end to have, for sure. Like, just based off of his performance, here's some fantasy advice, I guess, just to, keep things moving is, don't sit Jake Ferguson just because he didn't play well against the Eagles. Dak Prescott's going to find him. Dak Prescott's going to locate him, and Dak Prescott's going to hit him. He's going to get around 6 receptions per game, probably 10 targets per game. So, don't sit Jake Ferguson. But yeah, no, that speaks volumes towards the Eagles defense, which is that they did really well against them. And I also want to contribute. Actually, it's not even the Eagles defense. It's actually more so the linebackers. It's actually more so Zach Bond, and it's actually more so Jahad Campbell. So like the opportunity, and that just gets me excited, man. Like, honestly, with Nakobe Dean's like tweet today to the fans, like, y'all see me in week 5, like having Nakobe Dean, having Jahad Campbell, having Zach Bond on the field at the same time. Like, just imagine where Vic Fangio's mind is going. Like, obviously we know that Jahad Campbell can rush the passer. We know that Zach Bond can rush the passer. And Nakobe Dean can also be that blitzer. So like, there are going to be times, and I think this is what's going to happen, is they're going to alternate Zach Bond and they're going to alternate Jahad Campbell as being a blitzer on the edge. And whoever is not alternating into that position is going to stand up with Nakobe Dean at the linebacker position. So it's going to be fucking awesome. I personally think this defense is going to be fucking awesome. I do think it has the potential to be better than last year's defense. And I will say this, the only reason why I think that is because of the versatility of the guys that we have at the linebacker position. But we do need that defensive line to come alive. So, excuse me. It's going to be really exciting to. Oh man, that's another thing that I just realized that I got to talk about. I got to talk about Jalen Carter. It's going to be great to have Jalen Carter back this week. I honestly think that Dallas Eagles game would have been completely different with Jalen Carter on the field throughout the entire game. King says, "Thank you, little dick Giants, for Saquon Barkley." Yeah, that's another thing, man. Like I haven't been with you guys since before we signed Saquon Barkley. I always knew this was coming. I always had a feeling like even like because Saquon was franchise tagged the year prior to us getting him. And I was like, man, if he hits the open market and the Giants don't tag him, the Eagles are going to definitely go after him. Like it's definitely going to be like because he's such a talented player. Like he was so beloved in Pennsylvania for going to Penn State and being the player that he was. And like I know that the Eagles were targeting him actually in the draft. It's just that they took Carson Wentz instead. Actually, no. Sorry, I take that back. They took Carson Wentz instead of Ezekiel Elliott. And then I think it was a year later the Eagles won the Super Bowl. The Eagles went like 9-7 or something, and Carson Wentz's first year didn't have really a shot to go up and get Saquon. But anyway, they were very interested in him during the draft period. So I had no doubt in my mind that once the opportunity arose, Howie Roseman wasn't going to think twice about it. And so he overpaid for Saquon Barkley. And then he gave him another contract this past offseason, basically based off of what he did last season, which is rushing for 20 or 2,000 yards, more than 2,000 yards. So it's like, kudos to you, brother. And everybody wants to make a big deal about the Dallas Cowboys shutting Saquon down. They didn't really. Like if you like they really didn't. As soon as Landon Dickerson went out of the game, like it was tough for Saquon. But like everybody wants to point to the fact that like Saquon only had 60 plus yards in this game, and it was like 15 carries, but he had 60 plus yards at 10 or 11 carries. So you have to remember that. And I'm pretty sure like not long after that is when Landon Dickerson kind of went down for the rest of the game. King says, but at the same time, I'm glad we got him and Slay a ring before they left. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I always have to remember like Slay was signed after the Super Bowl we won in 2017 with Nick Foles. I always forget that because it just feels like Slay had been there for so long. Yeah, me too. Slay deserves it. Slay was a little out of pocket sometimes, but I was never. And I was a little bit annoyed. I was a little bit annoyed with Slay at times, especially when he would do podcasts with Micah Parsons. Like that just bothered me. But like I honestly don't care. Slay was a good dude. Especially last year when he decided to start mentoring Quinyon. Like that was like I think that did it for me. Like I certainly miss Slay. Like Slay didn't play that well this past week against the Jets. He's obviously with the Steelers now. He led up a couple touchdowns to Calvin Austin. I know Aaron Rodgers found Calvin Austin against Slay a couple times, so I know that because I just recently added Calvin Austin as a possible bench flex player in my fantasy league for my work. Actually, my boss is so awesome. She made sure to create a league for everybody. Really cool. Probably one of the best bosses I've ever had. King says, after Jalen Hurts won the Super Bowl, you'd think the hate would stop, but it didn't. It made things worse. I don't know why. I don't know if it made things worse. I mean, it's a good point to bring up. I don't know if it made things worse, but it definitely didn't stop. I will say that. And hey, I don't care. I don't care anymore. And I don't think Jalen Hurts cares. And actually, he's another big topic of this stream is I don't think Jalen cares. Jalen Hurts played so well in week 1. Like he played so well. Like he was decisive. He knew where he wanted to go. He was poised. I don't think I've seen that from Jalen when it comes to the beginning of the season. I don't think I've seen that. Like any other like week one matchup, I don't think I've seen Jalen that poised. Jalen was poised and Jalen was decisive. Jalen won that game for us. Like he really did. And if Jalen doesn't care, I don't care. Would it be nice to get the record for Jalen to get the record? Well, here's the thing. History always says that the quarterback in Philadelphia always gets the brunt of the shit, and they can either deal with it or they can't. The legacy that Jalen Hurts is creating for himself has made me think twice about my fandom for Donovan McNabb when Donovan McNabb was the quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't think Donovan was a stand-up guy. And it's not like it's breaking news, but he had issues with other people taking attention. Now, Terrell Owens was definitely a diva. Deshaun Jackson wasn't really that big of a diva, but Deshaun Jackson is even reported with Donovan having problems with him because of too much attention. So, I think at this point, to be honest with you, I think Jalen Hurts is my favorite quarterback that has ever put on an Eagles uniform. And I will say that every day. King says what's crazy is that we almost gave up a lot for Micah, but Jerry didn't want to trade him in division. Yeah, according to reports, according to reports, the Philadelphia Eagles offered 2 first-round picks, a third and a fifth, and I think, and amongst other things, is what the report was. I assume that the other things maybe included like Jalen Hunt. I don't think it would have included Nolan Smith. I think that would have been dumb, but I think it would have included Jalen Hunt. Yeah, dumb. Honestly, yeah, it was a dumb move on Jerry's part, to be honest with you. Here's the thing. How do I feel about that trade? Every time I think about that, every time I think about that report, one, we don't know if it's true. I guess we can assume it's true because Howie is always talking, and Howie liked Micah a lot, and a lot of players liked Micah, and the Eagles had the MO to do it. So I assume it's true, more so than I doubt it. But I asked myself, what do I really think about that trade? We've been hitting on draft picks. Howie's been on fire lately when it comes to draft picks, especially when it comes to first round picks. That's 2 possible starters that we're talking about, giving up for 1 starter. Yeah, is Micah a generational talent? Is he? Are we sure? The Eagles own his ass every single time that we played him. Every single time. He's not as great against the run. He's not the dude from Cleveland. He's not Myles Garrett. He's not Joey Bosa. But he is a great pass rusher. He's Von Miller. I will say that. He's not Myles Garrett. If he were Myles Garrett, I'd be okay with that trade. But you know what Philly has done really well with their defensive line over the last 5 years? Drafted guys that can get to the quarterback and that can also play the run extraordinarily well. Josh Sweat built up muscle, built up weight, and learned how to play the run really, really well from Brandon Graham, and turned into a really great pass rusher. Fletcher Cox was the same way. Brandon Graham was the same way. Micah is not that guy. He couldn't play he can't play the run as well as Myles Garrett could. King says that's why we signed Smith from the Lions. Zadarius Smith, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited for Zadarius Smith. I think he's going to come in and make an immediate impact, and we're gonna get to those guys in a little bit. We're gonna talk about Tank Bigsby. I love Tank Bigsby. I love Tank Bigsby coming out of college, and the fact that we made a trade for him from the Jaguars. It didn't make any sense at the time, but I love that he's on our team. and adding Zadarius Smith, like, I think that was a no-brainer. I also think that I don't know if Asante Samuel Jr. is still in the market, but if he is, what are we waiting for? I think Zadarius Smith is going to come in and make an immediate impact. Emily Bentley, go Birds, absolutely. EIGLES, Eagles, go Birds. Please like and subscribe. Your subscription obviously means the world to me. I would absolutely love it to have another follower. And I say that only because I have not seen your name before. I just want to take a brief moment to say, hey, King, to any of the followers that I currently have, we are going to be this time. Me coming back is kind of a big thing because I am going to be hitting it full throttle. I'm going to be releasing, DB Talkin now shirts, memorabilia, hats, all of the above. DB Talkin Birds. I'm really excited to kind of like show you guys what that inventory is going to look like. I'll have drops pretty soon for y'all to show you. But yeah, I'm really excited about it. King says, I think we have the best running back room right now since that trade with AJ Dillon. Well, AJ Dillon was just a signing, but yeah, the trade with Tank Bigsby. Yeah, no, we definitely do. Tank Bigsby is a great running back. I'm not going to say great running back. He was a rookie last year. He was a guy that I wanted them to draft or have the ability to draft. He is like the Darren Sproles to LeGarrette Blount, basically, with more power, actually. Tank Bigsby is a force, and Tank Bigsby is electric. And I actually think he's an upgrade over Will Shipley. And my thing is that I think they have Tank Bigsby for 2 more years. They have Will Shipley for 2 more years on their rookie contracts. AJ Dillon, I don't remember the details of his deal, but I think it was for 1 year. So that's three running backs that honestly, not that big of a hot take, but maybe a hot take. I honestly think they all 3 have starting potential. I mean, you look at what Will Shipley did just in the opportunities that he had in week 1 against the Cowboys. They clearly had packages prepared for Will Shipley. And I honestly think that that's what this is about. Like, they want to make sure Will Shipley is healed 100%. But Tank Bigsby can come in right away, as long as, and again, I say this, as long as he learns the playbook on time, makes the effort to, learn the playbook, and get on track with that, then he can have a really successful, connection with Jalen. Especially if Jalen's focus is to get it out quick this year. Make the read quick, move the chains. And it seems like that is the case, just based off of how week one went. Jalen Hurts was perfect. Jalen Hurts was perfect in week one, and I couldn't ask of anything more. And I couldn't ask of anything more from Jalen in week one, to be honest with you. God, I don't like wearing a headset while doing streams because I like to have coffee while I'm streaming, and it just drives me nuts. Sorry. Yeah, when I moved to Southern California, I brought a lot of stuff. I didn't bring my microphone. So I'll have to get a new microphone. But hey, sometimes life be that way, Whatever happens. All we have is this moment that we're in right now. But let's talk about week 2 a little bit. Thoughts on the new OC, says King. Well, we'll delay the thoughts on week 2 for a little bit. Thoughts on our new OC, Kevin Patullo. I was fine. With Kevin Patullo, honestly. I think that Jalen moved efficiently. Here's my biggest thing. Here's my biggest thing about the offensive coordinator. I need Jalen to be confident. If Jalen is confident, then I'm okay with the offensive coordinator. If Jalen is not confident, then I'm not okay with the offensive coordinator. Jalen was not confident at the start of last season. And therefore he threw 5 interceptions in, 3 games? Maybe even more. Maybe it was 6 interceptions. So Jalen looked efficient as fuck in week 1 this year. Jalen looked confident, man. He looked confident. Now, granted, we've had Kevin Patullo. Kevin Patullo has been a voice in this system since Nick Sirianni took over. So he's been around. He's been there. Jalen knows Kevin Patullo. So my thoughts on Kevin Patullo, my thoughts are I'm fine. I'm fine with it. Honestly, I think if I were to have negative thoughts about Kevin Patullo right now, I think I would be one of those people who cared about how many touches AJ Brown got. I would have cared about how many touches Devontae Smith got. And yeah, I could easily be one of those people. Obviously, AJ needs more touches. But we won the game. And Jalen looked confident doing what he was doing. My thing is my confidence in an offensive coordinator directly reflects my opinions of the starting quarterback, not anybody else. So if the starting quarterback is confident, then I'm going to be confident in that offensive coordinator. It's very simple. It's like Aaron Rodgers not having faith in Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur is a great play caller. Aaron Rodgers is kind of a stubborn son of a bitch. But Jalen's comfortable with Kevin Patullo. So my thoughts on Kevin Patullo, let's keep it running, baby. Let's keep it running. I think he was starting to do some great things with the running backs. and the mix and match. And I loved the play calling when what's his name came in for Saquon Barkley, when Will Shipley came in to kind of sublet Saquon Barkley. That screen honestly took us into the red zone, or that bubble to Saquon, or no, I think it was a flat route that took Will Shipley into the red zone. It was like 25. It was like a flat route that ended up turning into like 25 yards or some shit. And then we never saw Will Shipley ever again. I was so upset, honestly, because I like Will Shipley. But now we have Tank Bigsby to do that shit. So like, honestly, I love the play calling. People are gonna like hate on it, and people have hated on it. Especially Dan Sileo. Not a big fan of that guy. I love Jacob Media, but Dan Sileo just like doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. That's why he was always a backup with the fucking Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Just like, shut the fuck up, dude. Anyway, I'm really excited. I'm really excited for this team. And I honestly think that we have a true shot at getting back to the NFC Championship. I'll say that right now because I don't want to. I'm not. I'm from Philly, so I do believe in Philadelphia sports juju. So I'm not going to say much, but I do believe it's going to be a Packers-Eagles NFC Championship. I will say that. The Commanders have not impressed me. They're 1-1, obviously, after Thursday night. Got destroyed by the Packers, but I think that we have a beat on the Packers. So I would love to see the Packers in the fucking championship game. Love to see them. And you want to know why I think that we have a beat on the Packers game, or on the Packers? Micah Parsons. We shut him down every single time. So let's jump into it. Week 2. Super Bowl rematch. Eagles versus Chiefs. Well, let's just start off with this. Travis Kelce ran into his own guy, Xavier Worthy. Xavier Worthy is now injured, now going to be out. Shareed Rice, or whatever his fucking first name is suspended, so he's out. So obviously the top target is Antonio Brown's cousin, who is Hollywood Brown, who is a good receiver for sure. I picked him up on fantasy actually, but not for this game, for future games. He's going to receive the majority of the targets from Patrick Mahomes, as is Travis Kelce. However, I don't think that offense can keep up with our defense. I don't, especially with Jalen Carter going to be in this game. I just don't see it, especially with Za'Darius Smith added. I don't see it. I think that this is going to be another Eagles win against the Chiefs, the Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes duel, so to say. I'm excited for it. Honestly, at the beginning of the week, I saw 34-17 in my brain. But I'm going to give them a little bit more credit just because they just recently lost to the Chargers. And they're going to be a little bit pissed about the fact that they lost so badly in the Super Bowl. And yes, I am emphasizing this because I'm allowed to, because I'm an Eagles fan, and it was so beautiful to watch them fucking beat them down as much as they did. But I think I'm going to say 30-24. Philadelphia. 30-24 Philadelphia. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm not, or if I'm wrong, here's what I'll say. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. 1. But if I'm wrong, I still think the Eagles will win. But I think it will be like 34-17. I don't think the Chiefs win this game. I think the Eagles are too foundationally fucking strong for the Chiefs. I really do. The Chiefs are yesterday's news. The Chiefs are yesterday's news. King says, especially with Carter coming back, yeah, we're finna have Patrick running for his life. Oh, yeah, dude. Especially with the way Jordan Davis looked in week 1. Jordan Davis looked fucking good. And everybody wanted to shit on him, man. Jordan Davis looked really good. Jordan Davis had a lot of pressures on Dak Prescott. And Dak Prescott looked good. Like, I'm not taking anything away from Dak Prescott. But imagine Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter bursting through their fucking, man. And then all of a sudden you have to deal with Zadarius Smith. You have to deal with Nolan Smith, who brings a ton of speed. And it's not only that, right? Like, it's the fact that, like, all of those Georgia players have camaraderie with one another, speak to one another before the play happens, and are like, I'm going to do this so that you can do this. And if you do this, I'm going to do this. It's like, for example, like Jalen Carter starting on the inside against the center and the guard. And then he kind of goes up, then spins around to the left so that he's taking on the center and the left guard in the middle. Well, that leaves Nolan Smith one-on-one. We did this in the fucking Super Bowl plenty of times. So I'm really excited for this matchup. One, because I just don't think the Chiefs are as good as they claim to be or as they used to be, and honestly, I blame the GM and I blame Andy. I blame Andy and I blame the GM. You need to get better players. You need to get better skill players. You needed to do a better job of building the offensive line. You are relying too heavily on a tight end who has been. I mean, let's be honest. Like, Travis Kelce is not what he used to be. He's not George Kittle. He's not. He's not Tony Gonzalez. Tony Gonzalez played until he was like 37 or 35, but was still dominating. Travis Kelce didn't have a great year last year. And he didn't have a good first week, with the exception of one breakout play. Like, let's be real. The Eagles own the NFC. And I say that because I'm glad that the Eagles played on Thursday against the Cowboys and the rest of the league played on Sunday and Monday for the most part. There is no NFC team that can compare to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles play with such resilience. And grit and heart. And it starts with their quarterback, dude. It starts with their fucking quarterback, man. King says, this is Travis Kelce last year with Kansas City. I'm calling it's going to give all. Yeah. I mean, hey, dude. My girlfriend doesn't like Taylor Swift. I have a lot of respect for Taylor Swift, to be honest with you. She's been a songwriter since she was 13 years old and has written most of her shit. If she hasn't written it, she's co-written it with her longtime co-writing partner Jack Antonoff. But I probably just let out way too much Taylor Swift detail. But yeah, I mean, like, hey, like, do you, dude? Like that's my message to Travis Kelce. Like, do you, dude? Like, you have the wealthiest woman in the world as your girlfriend. And she's a hottie. And she's talented. Do you? But my girlfriend is more talented and more beautiful. I will just say that right now. King says, I don't fuck that bitch. How do you go from Philly to Kansas? Get the fuck out of here. I don't know what that means. Oh, Taylor. Oh, because no, dude. Come on, dude. Come on, King. You know the truth. She's an Eagles fan at heart. She's just supporting her boyfriend. Let her support her boyfriend. She's an Eagles fan at heart. Let that be the case. It's all right. Hey, she grew up on a Christmas tree farm in Reading, Pennsylvania. You think the Eagles green is ever going to leave her body? No. Of course it's not. All right. We're going to be wrapping it up here soon. So the few things I want to talk about beforehand. Obviously, we've already talked about a few things. My prediction, I think it's gonna be 34-20. That's what I think. I think the Eagles are gonna win. I think that I think we're going to shut Travis Kelce down, and I think we're going to get a few on Patrick Mahomes, to be honest. So I think that's going to be good for us. The other thing, too, obviously really excited that Nakobe Dean is coming back in week 5, and that's going to be good for us. Just his mentorship, his leadership, his overall awareness of the defense. It's gonna change some things, just his knowledge of the defense. So I'm excited for that to happen. If we beat the Chiefs, my honest opinion is I think that we win. I think that we go 4-0. Possibly. I think that we go 4-0. Possibly. I know that Todd Bowles has Jalen Hurts' number so far in Tampa Bay, and I think we play Tampa Bay either week 3 or week 4. But I think we're going to be okay. But again, like I said, really excited for this game. I think I'm going to be back on tomorrow. I'll be back on tomorrow just because I didn't get to everything I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about the Commanders, and I want to talk about the Giants, and I want to talk about the Cowboys a little bit more. I want to talk about the division a little bit more. I want to talk about the overall league a little bit more and my thoughts about that. I think I'll just try and hop on tomorrow. So I think we can keep everything, moving and everything regulated and everything smooth. But anyway, again, really excited to be back. It's been 2.5 years, and King, I'm so happy to have your loyalty and have your faith. Tell your friends, man. Tell your fellow Eagles friends to come and like and subscribe and join the stream. I really wanna take my channel to the next level. I'm gonna be coming out with merch and stuff. I won't abandon you this time. I promise. For real is real. Let's keep it going. Let's be a part of this dynasty. Let's be a part of the fucking dynasty. This is DB talking now. DB talking Birds. DB talking Philadelphia Eagles. Have a great rest of your fucking night. King, thank you so much, my man. Have a beautiful rest of your weekend, my dude. I will speak to you soon. Peace, brother.